Today I want to talk about dreams. They are one of many avenues of information that we can use from time to time for our personal growth. I'm not saying to become obsessed with trying to analyze every freaking dream that we can remember, but rather paying attention to those dreams that for some reason stand out more and remain vividly in our memory and invite us to pay a closer attention. It's not always necessary to remember the whole dream, but it certainly can help that if we have more details. But sometimes when we get up, we remember very specific part of the dream, and it can be enough for us, and we immediately have a sense of meaning behind this dream, meaning and clear symbolism that resonates with us. For myself, I have noticed that when I get clear meaning behind dream or symbolism, it usually happens as a confirmation for the process that I have been doing in recent times. That is related to processing out a part of me or pattern of me. And this dream simply comes as a confirmation for that. Or sometimes this clear meaning of the dream can also come as a reminder about pattern of ours that we became aware of a while ago and we are already aware of, but it hasn't been completely resolved yet. For example, in past, I had a dream in which I was attending some kind of event and I was surrounded by a lot of people. And there was a moment when one woman approached me and she demonstrated her affection to me. She touched me and she got quite intimate with me. And at that moment, I, in the dream, noticed that a bit further away, there was my mother. And she was jealously looking at both of us. And I could sense that my mother almost viewed me, her son, as her life partner. And so she wasn't happy that this other woman was approaching me. There was like a rivalry. And it gave very weird vibes in the dream, and I a little bit laughed, but I kind of pushed this woman away so she wouldn't interfere with the connection that I had with my mother. And so when I woke up from the dream, it happened in midnight. I immediately knew what the meaning was in this key scene for me in the dream, and that was I still had an unhealthy attachment to my mother. Being an adult man, I still had this attachment that had been formed since early childhood and needed to be severed physically and energetically. And I knew that this attachment formed very unhealthy connection or relation to my mother that interfered with my own growth, and it felt like I was a chained dog that couldn't go away in the world and discover and experience life in its different beautiful colors and adventures. It felt like I was chained, and I knew that there was a part of me, subconscious part of me, that resonated with this attachment and that maintained this attachment. And I knew that I had to work with this part. If the dream is interrupted, or you wake up without any clear ending or resolution, then what we can do is to apply what psychologists call as dream re-entering. Basically, the idea is that we go back into the same unfinished dream scenery where we left, and we allow it to play out in our awake state through active imagination. We allow our imagination to run freely. And this is not lucid dreaming or hypnosis. Now, this dream re-entering process becomes like our own inner conversation or dialogue with our subconscious selves. It is a guided process where questions and prompts can be used to guide us further into and throughout the dream scenery, addressing key details and uncovering key information in it. We allow the dream to answer questions related to it, questions about what we are experiencing in the dream. And this dreamy experience can reveal to us parts of us, subconscious parts of us that needs our attention and that are expressing themselves in unhealthy way. It is easier if we have someone who can guide this process for us, while we can completely focus on the dream scenery in our imagination without need to split our attention to the dream and also at the same time to the guidance of the process. When we return to the dream scene, we use what we receive in that moment. Whatever images, thoughts, feelings are brought up by our imagination, which is part of our broader consciousness. And it is valid to use it because our consciousness has access to our mind, our emotions, our subconscious parts. So images, feelings, thoughts pop up relevant to that dream in that moment. And it's beneficial to have an attitude of curiosity and openness rather than judgment and skepticism and doubts. Instead, get interested. Whatever is popping up, how is this relevant or related to the dream scenery? The goal of this process is to resolve the dream, to complete it. So it leads us to the next thing, whether it is a certain action that we take, or it leads us to some kind of pointer that can lead us to further in our personal growth journey. If we decide to try out this process of re-entering our unfinished dream scene, at the beginning it might feel weird, maybe even foolish. We might question ourselves, what are we doing here? What if we are pretending and not receiving genuine information from our subconscious? It's normal that we can have doubts, especially if we haven't practiced a thing that is new to us. So practice can help overcome our doubts over time. Another option might be journaling or looking up online interpretations for our dream, because sometimes we're not really sure what the dream meant for us. And journaling can help us to recall some of the details that we do remember from the dream scene, and we can try through writing to expand on that if any of these details make for us any sense or possible associations with our life, our daily life, or particular situation that we're in right now. And journaling can help us give also insights sometimes about the dream through broader context when we expand our stream of thought through writing. Sometimes our dreams seem completely random or unexplainable, and it can take more time to understand it, especially if it's a repetitive dream. I remember I had a specific dream for at least about a year until I came up with an insight regarding the meaning of this dream. It was very confusing for me because dream represented something from my past that I did a while ago, and it was confusing to see it because it was not, the scenery itself was not relevant to my daily life at that moment. And in this case, it taught me that the explanation was way simpler than I initially thought. The example of this dream is that I kept dreaming about playing a computer game, an online game, and every time I saw this dream, I always started from zero, fresh. I started from the beginning, developing my character, leveling it up, and over and over and over again. And I saw this dream a lot of times until I got it that the main key thing in this dream actually was starting over. This dream was showing me that I had enough inner capacity to start over in my own life, that I had enough resources to create whatever I was interested in, whether it was a new project, a new vision for life, a new professional interest. But this dream was clearly signaling that there were untapped resources that were ready for the adventure of having a fresh start, and that actually there is a excitement and joy in part of me about creating something new, starting from zero, initiating, having new experiences. As you can see, dreams are one of the channels of information that can help us with our inner challenges and can help us grow. Thank you for listening and watching. I really appreciate your time and your precious attention, and I would really love to know your experience with dreams, if you have paid attention to them, their interpretations, their symbolisms, their meanings, and if you have applied any of that information in your personal growth.